This is the House of Hockey podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network. Hockey is more than a game, it's a lifestyle. It's you, the diehard supportive fans, your favorite players who are on the team you cheer for, and the organization who supports them.
The companies that make your gear, bags, and beer league sweaters. The hockey moms and hockey dads, and everything else that makes this House of Hockey your home. Come on in. I'm Breezy.
And I'm Rae Rae.
And this is our house. Grab your peanuts and popcorn. Baseball is back. That's right. Teams will be getting back out on the diamond this week. Last year's season sure was different, but that doesn't mean it lacked any excitement, and this year is poised to be even better. DraftKings is the leader in one-day fantasy sports, putting you on the field with a free shot at a share of millions of dollars in total prizes. If you haven't tried it yet, fantasy baseball is easy to play. Just pick 10 players, stay under the salary cap, and pile up points for hits, runs, strikeouts, and more. There's no better way to put your baseball knowledge to the test than to compete for a shot at millions of dollars throughout the week. But if baseball isn't for you, don't worry. DraftKings is offering plenty of fantasy golf action for this week's tournament. With millions of dollars in total prizes up for grabs this week, there is no better place to have skin in the game than with DraftKings. Download DraftKings app now and use promo code THPN, that's THPN for the Hockey Podcast Network, to get a free shot at your share of millions of dollars up for grabs this week with your first deposit. That's promo code THPN, it's THPN for the Hockey Podcast Network, to get a free shot at a share of millions of dollars with your first deposit only at DraftKings. A minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility and restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Welcome to the House of Hockey podcast. I am one of your hosts, Rae Rae.
And I'm your other host, Breezy.
And you are listening to episode 55. And we have a really great guest this week. NHL wife, Janelle Foligno. Her husband is Nick Foligno, and he plays for the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's the captain. And he's also got a brother in the league, and they have been married for a long time. They met at like 18 years old, Janelle and Nick, and they have 3 kids, and they have a foundation, and she's an author of a children's book, and so many great things.
Yeah, very great things about Janelle and Nick are going to be said later in this episode. But before we get to that, I think we should do a little bit of a pre-episode. What do you think?
I think we should. I would just like to get some quick reactions from you and I on where the divisions with the division leaders stand as of, this is as of Saturday, March 27th. That's when we're recording this. So I thought, since we're basically we're basically over the halfway point of games.
Yeah, I think we are actually.
Yeah. And I thought, well, let's just take a little look-see here. And the Central Division, the Tampa Bay Lightning are at the top. I'm not surprised by this. They've definitely returned to the top of the standings, but this doesn't totally shock me. I think they're still a pretty solid team from previous years. What do you think?
Yeah. I'm not too surprised by it. I feel like there's other teams that may deserve to have that top spot over the Lightning. No offense to the Lightning at all, but not surprised. But we'll see how the next couple weeks turn out.
Exactly. Now, over in the East Division, we have the Washington Capitals as the leaders, but right behind are the New York Islanders and the Pittsburgh Penguins, which at the beginning of the season, the Penguins were not looking so hot. And I'm not really surprised, though, that the Capitals are at the top of the division. But I still think this is could go either way. But I lied. I think the Capitals will stay at the top of the division.
I think the Islanders are going to come up and take that number 1 spot here soon.
Matt, my boy Matt's gonna bring them to the top.
Yeah, your boy Matt's gonna go to the Go to the top just for you.
Barzy, bring it, baby. All right.
Oh God.
If you're listening, heyo. The West Division, the Golden Knights are leading the division, which I am surprised by this. The Wild are also third in this division, which they've had a really great last couple of games.
Mm.
And this is where your Kings are. So, how do you feel about that?
I'm feeling pretty good. I think the Kings actually could pull something out of their sleeve, and I think that they could squeeze in to a playoff position.
Are
I
you
think they
surprised
could
by
do
the
it.
Knights being in the top above
No,
like the Avs and the Blues?
no. I mean, I feel like the Blues. I mean, they're a great team. Don't get me wrong, and I feel like the Avs are also a great team. But I just think that they don't quite have it quite there to win the cup this year. Um, I don't necessarily think the Kings have it to win the cup either, but I do think that it's going to be a nice little playoff race coming up here down the pipes. I don't think the Knights deserve to be number one. I think that, but that's just probably me being a little bit biased, I guess. But I don't know. This division's weird. It's a little cutthroat. It's a little you got some really heavy hitters that are in there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think the Kings could squeak their way up there.
Yeah. And in the North, we have the Maple Leafs at the top, followed by the Jets and the Oilers. I mean, I'm surprised that they're still up in the top.
I'm not 100. Yeah, nope. They deserve to be up there. They've been doing really well. I think that they are going to make a roster move, and if they bring in the person, I think they could potentially bring in. I told my dad the other day, I was like, if they bring in this guy, I think that they're probably going to win the cup.
Well, who's this guy?
Well, there's talks that they could be bringing in Matthias Ekholm from the Nashville Predators, and Ekholm brings in a whole lot of energy. He's a good line mate. He's got a huge locker room presence. He's a veteran guy. I think he's going to mesh really well with the team. And I think if they can pull it off, unfortunately for the Preds, it would be a huge loss. But the Preds need to do something to shake up that line. Which the Preds they just played a game. They got 7 goals, and what's his name? Drawing a blank. Rocco Grimaldi had 4 goals that game, and they said it was the fastest hat trick that they've ever had in Predators history. So I was like, what was the fastest hat trick in NHL history? And I want to say it happened within 17 seconds
Whoa.
by someone on the Blackhawks.
Yes, that is true. I can't remember who it was, but somebody told me that during my live stream on View,
Oh,
when we were talking about natural hat tricks.
yes.
And it is a Blackhawk, and I don't remember who it was. I should have committed that to memory.
You should. It should have burned. No,
Should have
I don't
burned
hold.
it.
No, you should have burned that
Tattooed
into your
it.
head. But hey, yeah, you got to remember this trivia.
Oh my God. That's pretty intense. That's a really
Yeah,
cool accomplishment. Who are they playing that he got that hattie
they were
on?
playing the Detroit Red Wings.
Oh, okay. But hey, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter against who.
Rocco's had a tough last couple weeks, couple months actually, so he deserved it. I was super excited for him, and it was exciting. And I was so excited to read that trivia fact to tell you, but that wasn't my exciting thing I was going to tell
Oh,
you
I was gonna
that I
say
wanted a blind reaction for.
that better not be the exciting thing that you wanted to
No,
tell.
it's not. It's not.
Okay, tell me now. Tell me now.
Okay, so I'm sure every team does this, but I get notifications for like what do they call them? You bid on stuff for like what are those called?
Like
I'm
silent
drawing a huge blank.
auctions,
Kind of like
charity.
yeah, silent auctions for charity and whatnot. So I have the Kings and I have the Preds, obviously. So I never win. I mean, I've won a couple things before, but I was like, I never win anything. Like, I'm just gonna like, and if I'm not gonna win it, like, I'm just gonna bump this up so someone has to pay an arm and a leg to like get what they're gonna want, right? Because I'm that person. Because I really want stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'll log on, see what's here. And they had a couple items, and I was like, oh, I'll just bid on a couple items. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't bid on everything. Like, that's probably bad. I was like, I'm not going to win anyway, so it's fine. There's like 10 minutes, or no, there was like 2 hours left on the auction. So I was like, someone's going to squeak in here, blah, blah, blah. And then I forgot about it.
Oh.
So the next morning, I won 2 of the items.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, awesome. So I won a Roman Yossi banner.
Of course you did.
Of course I did. I guess I'll put it over my bed. I don't know where I'm going to put this banner. I don't even know how big it is.
Oh my God.
Probably big. And then I also won a Roman Yossi signed score sheet, which is awesome.
Okay, that's cool.
That's a collector's item for sure.
Yeah.
And I already know what I'm going to do. But yeah, so I won both items unintentionally because I didn't think I was going to win them. And I was like, well, happy early birthday to myself. I just spent an arm and a leg on
Let me know. I'll Venmo you for one of them, and that'll be my gift from me to you. And then I'll know that I know you like it. I know you got something you wanted.
Got something I wanted. I was like, this would happen to me. This really would happen to me.
Oh my
So note to
God.
self, even if you think you're not going to win, don't go balls to the wall and bid on everything because you might just win everything you bid on.
I hope this
And
banner is like the banner that's outside of Bridgestone and it's like 1,000 feet tall and you have to like nail it to the back of your house in the yard or something.
I mean, it's funny though, because I think it might be the one that they put like on the pillars on the inside of Bridgestone because they've had a few of those up, but like, I don't know which banner it is. And obviously they're like, yeah, she'll email you tomorrow with like details on where you can get it and like pick it up or get it shipped. And I was like, if this thing, I have to ship it, obviously, like,
Right.
unfortunately, I'm not there. And I was like, watch, it's going to cost me like $500 to ship this 500-foot banner. I don't think it's that big, but
Well, we're going to need an update when
okay.
you get it. We're going to need to see this and we're going to need to know how big it is. So don't forget. I have not bid on anything. No, I have no signed memorabilia of any kind of the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
I have a San Jose Sharks jersey in the trunk of my car still that is autographed.
You better go get that out before someone listens is going to go find your house and your car.
They're not. I live in the woods now. No one can find me, but I don't even remember who's on it. It's from when I was like a little kid, not like a little kid, but when probably early to mid 90s. And my dad like bought it at some charity auction or something. And I have it. Like it's like been in a box in part of my move. So, but I don't know. Like I feel like I can't frame that and put that up. Like we're still building our recording studio at the house, and so I'm going to put up my hockey stuff, but I can't have a ton of Blackhawks stuff and then there's this random San Jose Sharks autographed jersey. Like that seems.
Yeah, you can.
I don't know.
I think you should. I have 2 jerseys hanging on my wall. You just need to get those like shadow boxes and put it in there, and it would look super sick.
All right. And then we'll like I'll put it behind my head and then just frame Blackhawk stuff all around.
Yeah.
And then people are gonna be like, why do you have this weird San Jose Sharks thing? Are you a Sharks fan? I'll be like, no, it's just I have this weird thing.
Just this weird thing. I was trying to think of what's in the trunk of my car. Oh, so I'm just borrowing it. I didn't steal it and I didn't take it to keep it. I'm just borrowing it. It's a Bevmo little handheld cart thingy. Have you seen that? It's broken, so it's not like they're like missing it, but like it ended up in the trunk of my car somehow, and it has a bunch of stuff in there from when I cleaned out my desk at the office. But what's in your trunk? Not your trunk, like our listeners' trunk.
Oh, right. What's in your trunk?
What's in your trunk?
Joining us this week is Janelle Foligno. She is the captain at home, and her husband, Nick Foligno, is the captain on the ice for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Janelle joins us to talk all about her life and Nick's life and their kids and what it's really like during the hockey season. And Janelle is also an author. She has written a book called Dear Heart, A Letter to My Special Heart, which has an incredible story behind this children's book. So you'll hear that. And her and Nick also run the Hearts Playbook Foundation. Please enjoy this conversation with the captain at home, Janelle Foligno. Let's just start with where you're at today. You have a busy day of getting kids and your life together when, before Nick goes on a road trip. So tell us like what that life is like for you in the middle of hockey season with three kids.
Yeah, I think just with the last year, things being a little bit on a standstill, I got used to having a set of hands for a little too long. And so when hockey started back up in January, it was like, okay, I kept telling like my family members I have to pull up my big girl pants and like get back on my routine because beforehand, we've been married 10 years and our daughter is almost 8. So we've had kids for a lot of the time. And so I feel like I've just been so used to the routine of the hockey season and I put my head down and it's like go time. But now with the break that was that long and having him home full time, he's been so helpful, which has been great. But at the same time, it got me off my game in a sense. So yeah, and the schedule in the beginning was having him home a little bit more, but now the road trips are picking up. So yeah, he left yesterday for an 8-day road trip. So you're right in saying that like I'm picking up the pieces today. I'm like, okay, who needs to be where, what time? And so just kind of gathering myself with that a little bit, but it's good. It is what it is. The kids are busy, but it makes the time go by so much faster too, in a sense where as when I was alone, I would be counting down the days for his road trip to end. And now it's like, oh, you're already home. Perfect.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Who misses who more? Kids, Nick, like what's that dynamic when he's on the road?
I think it's probably Nick misses the kids the most. And we got a bigger glimpse into that when they were in the bubble over the summer. Everybody would say to me and I've heard other girls say this too, where people would say to them, that must be so hard for you to have the kids by yourself when he's in this bubble. But then I would always look at the other side and say like, it's actually so hard for him too, because for him to be away that long, like, as a dad, that's really tough too. So there's two sides of the coin. And I definitely think the kids and I have more to stay busy with where the time goes by a lot faster. Whereas for him, when he's on the road, especially now, it's just hockey and hotel and that's it. So I think, unfortunately, he misses us more than, we miss him, of course, but it's different.
Yeah. Do you have like when he's on the road, do you have like a family time where you like watch his games and support him from afar?
We do, yeah. The kids actually love to watch the games, which is great. And I never miss watching his games. And so even if the kids are sleeping, I definitely have it on. But what's neat now that they get older too is, we'll watch usually the first period when it's a 7 o'clock game because their bedtime's around 8. But then in the morning, the first thing they ask when they wake up is whether they won or lost and did daddy score. And they like to watch the highlights. So it's kind of fun. So I play the recap for them while they eat breakfast before school and stuff. So it's nice to see them interact with it and be excited about it.
Definitely. So take us like virtually to a Blue Jackets game. I mean, the arena itself looks phenomenal. I've never been. I don't know. Ray, have you been?
No, I haven't. I was gonna try to go. I was on a road trip and I actually drove through Columbus, but they weren't home, I think, and I wasn't sure how the like fan situation was today. But no, I haven't been. Breezy, go ahead, finish your.
Oh
question.
no, I just want to know what
Yeah.
it's like to be like a fan in the arena and I mean what is it called? What's that little cannon thing that they set off? That thing's awesome.
Yeah, they can. And do you mean like now or just in general? Because with
Let's just do in general
yeah,
before COVID.
yeah, the arena is beautiful. I didn't know what to expect when Nick was traded from Ottawa to Columbus because we had only known Ottawa, and I hadn't really been to a lot of NHL arenas in general. And it really is beautiful. It's in like the downtown area with lots of bars and restaurants all around, and it's a newer kind of feel, obviously, because you haven't been in the league as long as some of the other teams. And really beautiful brick building, and inside they bring kind of the inside in a little bit too, and it really does have a lot of charm. And it's been kind of cool to see the evolution, I guess, of it with the fans. Like in the beginning, when we first got here, the building wouldn't be sold out, but the fans were always like diehard fans, which has been really cool. And so now they'll sell out, you know, pre-COVID, of course, but they'll sell out. And we always say like they're some of the best fans in the NHL because they're just so loud and they stand up. Like that was something I had to get used to because they're like all football fans too, so they stand up for most of the game. So you have to like get ready to be standing for so much of the game, especially in the playoffs, which is kind of fun.
So no high heels to those games then.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way in the playoffs. I was like, I cannot use you're standing if you want to have to see anything. So
Oh my God.
it's really fun though. It's a really fun atmosphere.
Cool. Yeah, they call the fans what, the fifth line, right?
Line, yeah.
Yeah. I think
That's
that's
awesome.
cool. I think that makes the fans feel special too in their own way. Like they have a little part of, you know, the dynamic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about being part of such a big and long-standing hockey family, right? Like your brother-in-law plays, Nick plays, or dad played, like your kids love watching and like seeing the highlights. Like, did you grow up around hockey? And then like what's it like being entrenched in this hockey family?
Yeah, so I'm Canadian, so I definitely grew up with hockey around me. My dad and brother played just for fun, nothing super competitive or anything, but I used to go to my little brother's hockey games and um, that kind of thing. But other than that, I would never watch it on TV. I had never been to an NHL game. I really wasn't interested in it beyond watching my little brother. Um, and so when Nick and I met and we started dating, I remember not long into our relationship, his mom, who was alive at the time, told me, like, get ready. This is a big hockey family. We eat, sleep hockey. It's hockey all the time. Hockey will be on. They'll be talking about it. Because his dad was obviously he had played, but he was coaching at the time as well. So it was still super ingrained in the family. And so I never forgot that because I felt like she was trying to prepare me for, you know, it's not like just hockey sometimes, it's hockey always. So, but it's really cool because I like to see how passionate they are about it. They really love the game and they really are so knowledgeable about it. And I feel like I'm still learning so much from them. And just being able to see them play out their passion has been really cool, and cheering on my brother-in-law and my father-in-law, following him through his career and coaching and stuff, and he's still involved with hockey. He's with Hockey Canada. So it's just really cool to see, and then now to see the kids come up and start to understand it. They start to know that No used to play hockey, and Uncle Moose, we call him Uncle Moose, Uncle Marcus, um, plays for a different team, and dad. And so they just really love it. And we don't know, obviously. I mean, my middle son plays right now, but Nick's just like, I just want them to love it. I really don't want them to feel any pressure with being in this hockey family. So they do love it. So step one is accomplished.
It's like an 04, right? So what's it like when Marcus comes to town with that sibling rivalry? I mean, do you guys hang out? Do you have dinner beforehand and then just gloves are off on the ice, or what's that kind of like?
Yeah, Marcus's first ever NHL game was against Nick, which was so cool. Nick
Oh,
was playing in Ottawa at the time. And when we found out that Marcus was being called up to play his first game, we got a suite and we had a bunch of family members and friends come into town. And it's always so funny because you don't really know who to cheer for. And anyways, we always say, like, I'm always like, I love you, but I'm obviously going to cheer for Nick. And we cheer for them individually too at the same time. But Nick said it's just a weird dynamic because I think he was present when, if I'm not mistaken, he was present when Marcus scored his first goal, or if it wasn't his first, he's seen him score, and he's like, you don't want to react because you're like happy for him, but you're like, I'm playing against him, so hard to keep a stone face. But we have him over when he's in town. This year we get a little break of it because they're not in the same division, so they won't play against each other, which is kind of nice in a sense because it's always hard for them to play against each other, they find. So we definitely cheer for him. But when they're playing against each other, you're like, you want the one up, obviously, to have the bragging right too.
Right. Like
Exactly.
at Christmas or Thanksgiving, you get to like throw elbows and
Yeah,
talk.
and I'm pretty sure they make bets and, they have the whole thing going and steak dinner at the end of the season type thing, whoever wins. But it's a fun rivalry and they make the most of it. And they're both so proud of each other.
Yeah. Do you have any, like, what's your opinion currently now about hockey? Since you were telling us a little bit about your history of like not necessarily growing up like a diehard NHL fan or anything like that. Like, do you enjoy it? Do you like watching? How do you feel about the sport in general?
I love it. I am really invested in it now. And now
Yes.
I'm like a little bit of a crazy fan.
Yes. Welcome to the club, Janelle.
But there are still so many things that I don't understand, which I'm like, he's been playing for so long. How do I not have these down? So I'm constantly like either asking my dad or my father-in-law, what happened there? And why is that called this? So I feel like I still have a lot to learn, but I love it. And obviously I'm his biggest cheerleader, and I don't actually mind watching the other games when he will watch them. So I've definitely evolved as a hockey fan and really enjoy it now. And I'm sure I'm going to be like the crazy hockey mom on the sidelines once the boys start a little bit more competitively and stuff, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, it's funny because the rules change so much, and like sometimes like there's different words that are used, and I'm just like, what does that even mean? But I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of everything, but sometimes I'm just like, what the heck is that?
I know. I'm embarrassed to say though that offside took me a very long time to grasp. So I've got the offside down now, but a lot of these callbacks and different calls and stuff like that sometimes.
Yeah.
Really
What confuses me the most is where they pick like the face-off circles. It's like, how? That makes no sense to me.
Yeah. It just seems like it's like wherever we feel like it. Obviously there's a method to it, but it doesn't seem like it in my eyes.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why I like watching the games on TV and hearing the announcers too, right? Because then you can learn even more if they're good announcers, right? And like good play by play, and they're like if they describe it really well what's going on, you can learn so much. I'm still learning too, so you're not alone in this. Like there's so much going on in the game and weird plays happen all the time. So
yeah, I agree. When Nick was in Ottawa, there were a few season ticket holders that would sit around my seats that were older gentlemen, and they had earphones in. And I used to say, why would they want to listen to something while they're watching the game? And then somebody explained to me they're actually listening to the radio play by play so that they can know, like you said, even more of what's going on and get their questions answered. And I was like, that's actually really smart.
oh yeah, I have an aunt who does that for football games. She's like super diehard, and she would wear the radio earphones. But we were always going, what they say, who's injured, what injured, what happened, are they coming back? Because they don't say that, like the PA guys don't say that, in the arena. So I get it. I get it.
That's what I do too when I'm watching live and something happens. I'm like texting my parents because I know they're watching.
Right.
And I'm like, what are they saying on TV? So they're actually ahead of the game.
I love it. I love it. Do you find that there are any misconceptions with NHL wives or girlfriends, or is there something that's like really not true, or maybe something that surprised you when you came into that circle of women in this sport in a positive way? It could be in a positive way, of course.
Something that surprised me when you said that I thought of first is I had misconceptions, I think, about hockey wives. I was super intimidated coming into it. Nick's cousin was married to one of the players on his team, and so she kind of brought me in, and I was really nervous at the time, thinking, these women are just going to be really intimidating, and I don't think they're going to be very nice, and they're at a different level than I am, and all that stuff. And the surprise was just like a pleasant surprise of, we're all like family. It's like as soon as somebody new comes in, you get embraced, and it's very much like we're all in it together. We're our own little hockey family. It's like instant friendship, and sisterhood. And sometimes you're only with the people for 2 to 3 months if there's a trade or whatnot, but you still feel like it's been even longer because it's just like such a quick transition. So that was something I was really pleasantly surprised with. And then as far as misconceptions, I once I was the first time I was asked, I've been asked several times, but I was asked if we travel with the team. I think a lot of people think that, and I think it's because of baseball too. I believe some baseball families do this because of the schedule more so, but
Right, because it's a summer and like they can take the kids and stuff.
they're gone for so many games at a time. And so that I get asked quite a bit if we travel with them. So I think people think that, and no, it's a lot easier actually to not travel with them, because it's not like we would go there and stay with them. They're there to work. So they're separated and they're working. So no, we stay back obviously and hold down the fort at home. But so that was probably one of the misconceptions I can think of. But I think people think too that it's just like this really glamorous lifestyle. And don't get me wrong, we feel very blessed to be in the position that we are, and have things that we have. But the behind the scenes is a lot. Like the guys are gone a lot. A lot falls on us, and not that we complain, which I don't at all. I'm very happy to be the cheerleader behind the scenes and get everything done so that he can do his job. But I think sometimes people don't necessarily see that, and it's not to their fault. How would they know? But so that's just, I guess, what I would say is there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes than what people might think, maybe.
I have to agree with that. I mean, I think we talked to Carly Zucker not that long ago, and she said kind of the same exact thing. Like, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that not a lot of people, understand or even think about. So it's good to hear it and to be able to put it out there too. On game days, what is the routine like? Is there like a fun thing that like Nick and the kids do that kind of is like a good luck charm that sends them off?
Nick isn't super superstitious, so his day-to-day game stuff could vary. Whereas I know he's had teammates in the past and even roommates in the past that have been really, really superstitious and have had to do the same thing at the same time every time. And he's not that. So thankful for me, because with the kids, when they're home and he has a game day, it's a little bit chaotic. And so I think I would feel a little bit more stress if he had to have things a certain way. So it's different because our schedule changes so much with the kids either in school or out of school. But typically he'll wake up with the kids in the morning and go to the rink, do his pregame stuff, come home to eat, and whatever kids are home at the time, he'll have lunch with them, and then it's nap time for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, not me, but
I was gonna say, except for you.
It's quiet time for me. It's like when the whole house shuts down for a couple hours, and then basically gets up and goes back to the rink. So he used to tell me that he would actually pregame nap with his dad when his dad was playing. But our kids, and he would love to do that with our kids, but they just love their own space and they want to be in their own bed. And he's like so sad about it because he has those fond memories about pregame napping with his dad, and our kids won't do that with him. So
That's funny.
I know. I think that would be like the one thing he would love to have, but unfortunately, they just like to be by themselves and sleep.
Oh my gosh. Well, I was reading about how you and Nick met. And for those who don't know, I'll just read what you guys have written. Boy meets girl at 5 years old. Fast forward 13 years when boy and girl start dating. And then fast forward another 6 years when boy and girl get married. So are you guys still the same, like 18-year-olds? Like, how has your relationship evolved over, you know, Nick's career, moving, and then we'll get into, kids as well.
It's definitely evolved a lot. Sometimes we still feel like that 18 and 19-year-old, but then we
That's a
look,
good thing though,
yeah,
right?
yeah, and then you look in the mirror and you quickly realize no. And also just these young guys coming into the league, which are the same age Nick was coming into the league, and we were like, wow, we are not on that level. But it kind of it's cool to look back and see your journey. And we did meet when we were younger. Our families actually knew each other, and I grew up with cousins of his, and that's how we kind of crossed paths when we were younger. But then finally, really met in a sense when we were 18 and 19 years old, and then started dating. And we have changed so much, both of us, in that time. And it's been cool to kind of go through it together, because when we first like met again when we were older, he hadn't been drafted yet, and so I got to see the whole process of playing in junior, getting drafted, going to the farm team. We did long distance when he played in Binghamton for the farm team of the Ottawa Senators. I was going to teachers college. There was a lot of figuring out our relationship in that time. And then I moved to Ottawa to work while he was playing his first few years. And we moved in together, got married, and then ended up in Columbus not long after that. And so there was a lot of moving parts and a lot of figuring out and figuring myself out too, because I had a career, and then after a few years moved to the United States, didn't have a green card at the time or anything. So I had to put all of that on hold. And so I had to kind of soul search and figure out what that looked like for me, and having his support along the way. It's just been, it's made us stronger, I think, is what I can say about it. The whole process and adventure of it all just really has made us stronger as a couple.
Definitely. I mean, I could see why you guys have gone through a lot together. But not only are you a hockey wife, you are an author. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so it's funny to hear you say I'm an author, because it doesn't feel like that's what I am. It feels like I just wrote a poem and now it's a book, which is funny to think about because that's the definition of an author, but it just doesn't feel like a title that belongs to me quite yet. I think it's still so surreal. But um, our daughter Milana, who's our firstborn, was born with a congenital heart defect, and we have had this whole journey with her and her health, and she's had 2 open heart surgeries and 3 minor surgeries. And so it's always been in the back of my mind that I would love to have resources for her as she grows up and as she starts to understand about her heart and her health. And the catalyst for me was a couple years ago when she had her second open heart surgery. She was now 5, and I knew that she was going to understand what she was about to go through. And I was searching for books that I can show her to help her and empower her. And I felt really anxious about her not knowing what to expect. And I couldn't really find much. We tried to prepare her as well as we could. And then when she was recovering, I like to write a lot when I'm just wanting to express my emotions. I'm more of a writer, I guess, and I just keep it to myself, like in a journal or whatnot. Then I would be to communicate those feelings. And so I had written a poem to her just in the notes on my phone. And I wrote the poem in her voice as if I would like her to feel about her situation and her heart. And empowering her and wanting her to feel like she is strong and that her special heart is part of her journey, and look at it in a positive light rather than, look at it negatively for the rest of her life, because this is her reality. And so I just left it in my phone, and probably like 8 months to a year after, Milana was taking theater classes and was going to a local art center. And at the art center, there were business cards and images of this local artist. And I loved her stuff so much. I took one of her cards, and later that night, I emailed her and I thought maybe she could put images to these words that I have from this poem that I knew I wanted to give to Milana, but I didn't quite know how. And so it just kind of clicked, like maybe she can do images. I can somehow make her a little book and present it to her. And when talking to Nick about it, he was like, well, you wanted something for her, but think about how many other parents would like something like this for their child who's going through the same types of things that Milana goes through. And so we decided to, when the illustrator accepted, it was her first time doing images for a book and my first time doing a book. So we had a whole learning process together, which was fun in itself. Um, but then when we decided to self-publish, we decided to order a, a number of books that was big enough that we can try to sell them and make money to donate to a heart organization. We didn't know which at the time. And then that's when our foundation was born, because we thought, well, with this money that we're raising, rather than just it being a one-time donation, why don't we try to now have our family legacy of this foundation and have it follow us and follow Milana, and she can get involved and even add more to the positivity of what her health journey looks like. So that's kind of how it was born. So it was just like a snowball effect, and it ended up working out really well. And we're really humbled by it all. And at the end of the day, we just want to try to create awareness and help as many people as we can along the way.
Yeah, and it's called the Hearts Playbook Foundation, right? And then the book title is
Dear
Dear
Heart.
Heart, A Letter to My Special Heart, which is just so incredible to put that out there. And I mean, how do you tell a kid like an open heart surgery? I'm sure she has like a big scar, right? Like in the middle of her chest plate, right? And when you're a little kid and you have other little kids going like, what is that? And I don't have that, that looks weird. Kids just speak their mind so freely, so to have a book and a place to help parents and kids communicate about these types of conversations in a way they can understand it's really a gift what you guys have done.
Thank you. And I think you said conversations, it's also inspired conversations with people that might not even have a heart defect, because now they're understanding, like you said, they ask these questions. They don't know. Milana's classmates, she was in kindergarten at the time, they didn't know what she was going through. So having this book to be able to kind of explain to them too, and show them that it's scary, but it can be a little bit less scary if you understand it a little bit more. So that was the goal for it. And at the end of the day, we wanted it for Milana, and she loves it, which is all I ever wanted. And being able to offer it to other kids is just like the cherry on top.
I am super excited. I want to read the book now, actually.
I
I don't think
know.
I.
I know. I feel like we should have you read the book to us here,
Yeah.
I know.
Janelle.
I personally didn't do it, but I was contacted by a library that wanted to use our book as a read aloud. So they read it and on their own time and stuff, but that was kind of neat to see. And it's just a really cool way to be able to reach so many people while you're still kind of quarantined.
Yeah. And how is Milana now?
She's doing great. Thank you. She's strong and healthy. And her last appointment, they said her heart looks the best it ever has. And so that's reassuring. And she'll be followed and she'll need subsequent surgeries. And we know all that. But right now, she's thriving. She's in second grade. She bosses her brothers around and us pretty much most of the time. And she really is just doing really well.
Yeah. How did you and Nick, get through that together. Because, I mean, yes, this is like a hockey podcast, but I think there's so many people listening who go through really big things with either their kids or their family members who have some sort of, health issue or concern. And, we're all dealing with tough emotional times now as well. So, how did you guys work through that?
We always say that going through everything that we have with our kids, we've had several, unfortunately, several health situations with our children, but each one has just made us stronger and in our values. And we're both really strong in our faith. And so bringing all of that together and just communicating, I think that was a big part of it too, because a lot of the time when you have a sick child, one parent is at the hospital, the other parent's holding down the fort at home, then you're switching, and you don't really have that time to be as a family. And so the communication aspect of it and trying just to make the most of every situation and try to find the good. We're also both believers that everything happens for a reason, and so we just hold on to that and we put our heads down, we get through it, but then we kind of always make sure we debrief, because I feel like dealing with it when it happens or not long after is really important, because we don't want things to surface at a later time where we can't handle it. So we just really work together to do that. And of course, we have an amazing support system, and the hockey organization, the hockey family in general, has been imperative to allowing us to be there for our family in those times. So we're super grateful for that. And it really just shines a light on, like I said earlier, how it really is such a family.
I think we've got to end on a funny or a fun story. Um, do you have anything funny that's happened either between the brothers, or are you like a prankster like in this hockey world? Like, does Nick do anything? Is anything I mean, I know there's been a video he got pranked by, I think, Cam with the pizza delivery. There was like a whole video on that, but like, do you have any other fun stories or funny things that have happened that you can share?
That was a big one actually, because a lot of the whole pizza talk starts back with, like, Nick was doing a lot of commercials for Papa John's Pizza, and I mean, you can probably find them online. They're hilarious. I think he wants to be, or in a like next life or in a former life, he thought he was an actor or something, but he just loves it. And so we would make fun of him a little bit for that, but they're so fun the way that they did them. But then now with Cam doing this pizza prank, it goes back to a couple of years ago where Nick pranked Cam on a season ticket holder phone call. And so what it was they had to call season ticket holders to try to get them to renew their packages and stuff. And so Nick called Cam or Cam called Nick thinking he was this Tony guy, and basically Nick ripped him, being like, why should I renew my tickets? Like, you're terrible, is this and all this stuff. And so Cam got super flustered and he was upset, and so he got Cam really good, and Cam took a couple years to figure out what he wanted to do back, but he got Nick really good this time too, because Nick didn't see it coming, and he ended up getting so upset. And then they, of course, they're best friends, but they were laughing their heads off, and it was all in good fun. But I think just seeing that camaraderie, and I'm sure, like, I probably don't even know the half of it, but there are so many pranks that go on in the hotels, and like these guys who are in their 20s and 30s probably act like they're still in the young years of mini stick hockey tournaments and stuff. And so I think that a lot of that stuff goes behind the scenes, which I probably don't get told. But yeah, just that. And I mean, some of my best memories are just with the girls and being able to watch games together when the guys are on the road, or we've taken some little road trips close if playoff games have been close, and stuff like that has been fun.
I feel like we need a girls' trip story. I feel like we need a little bit of insight into the wives and like what that's like. Is that just like, that's appropriate. That's not going to get anybody in trouble.
Yeah,
We're not
yeah,
trying
no.
to get anybody in trouble. That's not what we're doing here. But like, we hear so many stories of like the guys and like the dad's trips. But like, I feel like the girls probably turn up, like, excuse me, women, we like, you all probably turn up just as much, if not a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't have that many stories of girls trips and stuff. I think just I had kids for so much of the time that I
That's true.
try to make like what you can. I'm sure there are some incredible stories, and I probably like, going back to all-star breaks and stuff like that, you would always try to go with couples from your team to get the same schedule and stuff. And so, yeah, definitely there would be a lot of fun had there. But one story that stands out is when one of the years Columbus was playing Pittsburgh in the playoffs, and it's 2.5 hours from here. So a few of us, I was like 8 months pregnant, and
Oh my
a
God.
few of us we like hopped into my 7-seater car, and we drove down there. One of the girls drove because I was like so big I couldn't drive, and it was a playoff game. And I remember we didn't wear jerseys or anything, but people kind of figured out quickly when we were cheering for the other team who we were, and so we got like booed, and it was fun because we were together and we would just laugh about it on the way home. But that was one that stands out for me, just being able to do stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's so fun. Yeah. I mean,
Um,
we hear like so many stories from some of the guys, about like rookie parties and wearing Speedos and, obviously all of this, only the stories they can share, which we totally understand.
or I
But
think a
it's
big
good to
one.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say big one with most of the teams is Halloween parties usually.
Yeah.
Not just the girls, but the girls and guys. That's just been something that we all kind of hold on to and is so fun. And even back in the day, my mother-in-law and father-in-law, like even when he was playing, it was a big thing was the Halloween party.
Huh.
And so it's kind of cool to see that still be a thing. And those usually are stories that cannot be told.
Exactly. What was the last costume you guys went as? That you could tell us, right?
What was the last costume? Because we didn't have one obviously last Halloween. I'm trying to think the year before. Oh, I think oh my gosh. The one that I remember is Austin Powers and like one of those, not a go-go girl. What are those
The
girls?
the fembots
Yes.
in the pink with the bullets that
Okay,
came
no,
out of there.
I didn't have that. Maybe I was just like a 70s or 60s, whatever time frame. I was just like a hippie, and he was Austin Powers, but he made a really good Austin Powers.
Oh, that did
That's
he do
fun.
like the teeth?
Oh yeah. One year I made him go as the fitness instructor who has the big red
Oh,
puffy hair,
um,
Richard
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 Simmons?
Simmons.
Yeah.
Simmons.
Yeah.
And Nick always has a beard and he hates not having a beard, but I made him shave for that. And everybody was like, we don't even recognize you. But that was a really fun costume that we did.
What
Yeah.
were you to the what were you to the Richard Simmons? Just like an 80s fitness, like
Exactly. I'm like boring with our costumes. There are so many amazing costumes that people go all out, and they're always like usually the same couples every year that are incredible. But we're not usually them, but we try to have as much fun with it as we can.
I think we probably know who her favorite hockey hunk is.
but I think
Besides
we
your
should
husband.
still ask.
Yeah, who's your favorite hockey hunk?
So Nick makes fun of me because I think Steve Eiserman is so,
Whoa.
yeah.
Yes, we have heard that and we agree.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Steve Eiserman, which Nick fully knows that, and he makes fun of me for it, so it's okay to say. But definitely, of course, Nick's at the top. But then, if I had to pick somebody other than Nick, I pick Steve Eiserman.
And he's aged really well too.
Yeah, like Steve Eiserman now or Steve Eiserman back then, same.
Agree.
Same.
I agree.
That's funny. And who is your favorite hockey lady? Could
Um,
be anybody, a player, a wife or girlfriend.
like I have one of each. But I'll tell
It's
you one
true.
then that I can tell you like one woman hockey player that stands out for me is Tessa Bonham. She's now a reporter. She's from my hometown, and Nick knows her really well, and she's always been a really good ambassador for the game and an incredible hockey player. She actually played at Ohio State, where obviously in Columbus here. So I'll pick her for hockey player. And then as far as hockey lady in the hockey world, of course, all of the women that I've come in contact with have been amazing. But somebody that's made a good impact, just in general too, is Diana Davidson. She is wife to John Davidson, who is now with the New York Rangers, but he was here with us in a president role. And she's just been through it. He was a player, then he was an announcer, and then he was on management. And so she's been through it all, and she was a really good sounding board on a lot of things, and she's really involved with charities, and I love that about her. I mean, it's hard to say just one person, because all I have to say, all the hockey ladies are wonderful like that, but she did stand out to me.
Perfect. And the last question, Ray, do you want to take this one away?
Sure. Do you have a Sidney Crosby story? Did you meet him at like any of the NHL awards or anything like that back when we used to
I
be
have,
able to? Yeah.
yeah, Nick, we've been to the awards twice now, and I believe he was there both times, and he just really is so nice and exactly like what you would expect him to be, just so professional, so nice, and you can see why he's such a big name and a big ambassador for the game. And just to see like what he does, and you kind of are like starstruck when you see him, because you're like, it's the Sidney Crosby, but then he just seems like so down to earth too at the same time. So yeah, just overall really nice person, and Nick always has such great things to say about him too.
Awesome. Yeah, we've only had always had good stories about Sydney, just
Yeah,
so you know. That's
which
why.
tells you so much.
Exactly. We'll tell everybody again where they can get the book, the foundation, where they can keep up with all of your adventures on social media. Let us know.
Thanks. We have a website, heartsplaybook.com, and that's where you can find some information on our foundation, and that's how you can buy the book. And right now we have a little stuffed animal for sale too, Ticker, who's the character in the book. And then on social media, we are at the Hearts Playbook on Instagram, and we have Facebook, the Hearts Playbook as well. No Twitter yet, but usually Nick will be posting on his personal Twitter. He'll post some stuff on the Hearts Playbook, but that's what we've got going on.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for coming over to our House of Hockey podcast and hanging out with us. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. And in the meantime, you can follow us on social media. Just look for House of Hockey podcast. We'll be back next week.